When my son Ethan walked into the living room with that hesitant look on his face, I could sense something was shifting. It wasn't the kind of moment a mother prepares for with books or blog posts. No parenting guide truly captures what it feels like when your child, your little boy who used to cling to your leg in public, looks at you with eyes full of vulnerability, needing more than just snacks or homework help. It was the beginning of summer, the kind where school had just ended and the days felt wide open like possibilities stretched in all directions. Ethan had just turned 17. He'd grown nearly as tall as his father David, and his voice had deepened in a way that caught me off guard sometimes when he called out from another room. But no matter how much he looked like a young man in that moment, all I saw was the little boy who used to climb into my lap after a bad dream. "Mom," he said softly, standing awkwardly by the couch. I put my book down. "Yeah, sweetheart." He scratched the back of his neck the way he used to when he was nervous before a piano recital. "Can we talk like just us?" I nodded and patted the cushion next to me. "Of course, sit down." He sat, elbows on knees, staring at his hands. I waited, not wanting to rush him. This was clearly important. "It's kind of embarrassing," he mumbled. "You've known me since you were born. Ethan, there's nothing you can't talk to me about." He gave a short, nervous laugh. "Yeah, I guess that's true." He paused again, then took a deep breath. "It's about life. Like what I'm supposed to do now. Dad's always saying I need to have a plan, but I don't know. I feel stuck." I softened. "You're talking about your future." He nodded. "Yeah, college, what I want to do, who I'm supposed to be." It hit me then. This was his first time reaching out about something so deeply personal, not just a problem to be solved but a search for identity. I felt honored and emotional all at once. "Ethan," I began, "growing up is hard. Everyone acts like you're supposed to have it all figured out by the time you're 17, but the truth is most people don't even know who they are at 30. He looked at me like I just said something profound. Maybe I had. "Your dad and I have always tried to give you structure," I continued, "but that doesn't mean we expect you to follow a path that doesn't feel right. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to explore." He looked down again. "But what if I mess it up? You will," I said with a smile, "and that's okay. Mistakes aren't the end. They're the beginning of learning." He finally smiled, and something inside me cracked a little, not out of sadness but because I saw the shift. He wasn't just my little boy anymore. He was turning into a young man who was trying to understand the world. From that night on, our relationship changed. Not in a dramatic cinematic way but in subtle ones that only a mother could really recognize. He started sitting with me more often, asking about my own life, my job, my past, my opinions. He began opening up about school pressure, friendship struggles, and eventually love. One evening, a few weeks later, he walked into the kitchen while I was making dinner and said, "Can I help?" I laughed. "Do you even know how to chop onions?" He grinned. "Not yet." I handed him a knife and showed him how. We cooked together that night and it became a new habit. Every Wednesday it was our night. We talked about everything from politics to personal dreams to the best way to fry chicken. Those conversations helped him feel seen, and they reminded me that parenting wasn't just about teaching, it was also about listening. One night in late August, right before his senior year started, he asked if we could go for a drive. We ended up at the edge of town, parked near the overlook where the hills dipped gently into the horizon. "I think I want to take a gap year," he said, eyes on the distant lights of the city. I didn't answer right away. He glanced at me, waiting for disapproval. "I think that's a mature decision," I finally said. His eyes widened. "Really, I'd rather you take a year to learn about yourself than jump into something just because it's expected. If you use the time wisely, it could be the best thing you ever do." He looked relieved, like the pressure he'd been carrying for months finally lifted. Over the course of that year, Ethan volunteered at a community center, worked part-time at a coffee shop, and spent time shadowing professionals in fields he was curious about. He even traveled to California with a friend to attend a youth conference about climate change. Each time he came home, he seemed a little more confident, a little more grounded. Watching him bloom was the most rewarding part of my life. It reminded me that parenting isn't about control, it's about trust. And when he finally sat down with me one winter evening and said, "I think I know what I want to do," I listened with pride. He wanted to become a teacher. "I want to make kids feel heard the way you made me feel," he said. Tears welled in my eyes, but I didn't let them fall. I just hugged him tightly and whispered, "Then you're already making the world better." Years passed quickly. He graduated from college, got his teaching certification, and came back to our town to work at the very high school he'd once struggled in. Now he was the one students turned to for guidance, the one they confided in when life got too loud. We still had Wednesday night dinners, even if they were less frequent. When he met someone special, Emma, I was the first person he introduced her to. And when they got married, he asked me to dance with him at the reception. As we swayed slowly to a song I didn't recognize but knew he loved, he leaned in and whispered, "That night I talked to you on the couch, it changed everything." I smiled. It changed everything for me too. Ethan's journey to manhood hadn't been marked by grand gestures or dramatic moments. It had been shaped by quiet conversations, shared meals, and honest vulnerability. And for me, it had been one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. When he became a father himself, he called me late one night after the baby wouldn't stop crying. "Mom," he said, sleep-deprived and overwhelmed, "how did you do this?" I laughed gently with love and lots of coffee. He chuckled, and I could hear the warmth in his voice. "Thanks, Mom, for everything." That was the moment I truly understood. All those times I thought I was shaping him, he had been shaping me too. When my son turned to me for the first time, everything really did change, not just for him but for both of us, because love, when spoken honestly and received fully, has a way of transforming even the simplest moments into something extraordinary.